Be'ezus Hashem, today's Amud is Daf Yud Aleph and Beis. The first half of the Amud is finishing Torah Ches, and then we'll be starting Torah Tes. So, this part of Torah Ches, the Rebbe chazes over the Yesodis that we learned until now. That we learned that through Kabbalah Torah, through the Torah, we are mamshich a ruach chaim, which is mashum l'chesronis. Every person, whenever he encounters a chesaron, he needs to be able to deal with the chesaron. So the proper way to deal with it is through a ruach of a richas payim, of savlanus, of being able to take in a deep breath and a sigh and to be mamshich. And the way you get that ruach chaim is through the Torah, because and the way we get it from the Torah is through tzaddikim, Talmidei Chachamim, who are connected to the Torah. And people are not connected to Talmidei Chachamim. They deal with their chesronis with a ruach, which is a ruach sa'ara, and they are chilek on us, and they try going against our way of being mamshich a ruach chaim of a richas apayim and savlanis. But the Rebbe says that through the ruach chaim of tzaddikim that are completely clean, that even when they have nesenis and midas reis, they know they'll never have potential of ever being nichshel in midas reis, and the nilvim elam, people who are connected to such tzaddikim, even when they're presented with the ruach sa'ara, with the storm wind of the chelkim and the misnagdim and the rishayim, but they're able to be machnia that. So he touches that into a pasuk, that when you have the alafim, alufi, esav, which are the misnagdim and tzaddik, but the she'inan, when you have the koyach of Kabbalah Torah. He also teaches a pasuk of miknaf ha'aretz zmir shamanu tzvila tzaddik vaymer razili, that from the corners of the land we heard music, and then there was the tzaddikim the tzaddik was able to stand, and he was able to say, the secrets are with me, the secrets are with me. So the corners, miknaf ha'aretz, the corners of the land, the Rebbe says is plas tzitzis, because we said that the four corners of the tzitzis are connected, the four Yesodis of Eish Ruach Mayim Afra, from where all the midas have their sharish. The b'kedusha, they're all the sharish of all midas are Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Shem Hashem. Everything is heilig. It's only when in Shtash Lamatas they become mixed up Ma'urav Tovara, and the tzaddik, through learning Torah and through being mevar halacha l'maisa, he's able to mamshech a birur, to take out the toiv and only have the toiv and be machnia the potential for midas reis. And then when he's mamshech the ruach chaim from the Torah, he's only mamshech the ruach kedusha, the ruach of ruach chaim of kedusha. And so the Rebbe says miknaf aretz, those four corners of the tzitzis are also zmir shamanu, because we said that we're mamshech the ruach chaim from the Torah. The Torah is Chamishah Chavshet Torah, which I also said are connected the five strings of the harp of David HaMelech. So Memela, that Zmir Shemanu, the niggin of the Kina Shel David. So Miknaf Aretz, Zmir Shemanu. And then you have a Tzvila Tzaddik. It's a matzevus and a kiyum for the tzaddikim through this ruach chaim, that they're able to miskaber on the rishayim. And that's Razi Li. The pasuk says that I have a secret two times. Rashi says, what's Razi Li two times? The Raz of Peranius, the Soid of Peranius, and the Soid of Yeshua. That even though there's a Raz, even though there's a secret of the Rishayim, which are Godel B'Shaitim, like we said, that the Ruach Chaim of the Rishayim is a Ruach Sa'ara, it's a storm wind, and that's Garim all our Tzaras and Riches Agalas. But we have a Raz of Yeshua. So he said that, and that's Hamshach HaPasuk, Baigdim Bagdu Uvagid Bagadu, that the Baigdim, which are the Chelkim, the rebellious ones, the Rishayim, the ones who are Chelkim and Tzadikim, then their Gam is Gam Tzitzis. They're Paigim in the Beged, and which is the Tzitzis, which is they don't have the Rachaim, which through being Mavar the Arbi Yisodis. But in the end, the tzaddikim are able to machniya and mashpil them. And the Rebbe says that this again is of the kina of Chamesh Nimen of the Torah, and he's also this is also connected to the Chamesh Uni Isladrea, the 5 unim of the lung. So that's Torah Ches. So the Uvd L'Mais of Torah Ches is that we need to. The Eitzah is that whenever we come across any Chesaron, we have to know that the way to deal with it is through Arichas Ruach, and not through Ruach Sa'ara. We are aware that we try to approach our problems with a storm wind because of our Midas Rice, and that's Garimas, we want to be Mamshich, a way of dealing with our problems in a storm wind, and to deal with it as a storm. When the real way from the Torah is the way to live with our chesronis is through arichas apayim, through savlonos and arichas ruach, be able to, whatever we accomplish, whatever was to do with patience and arichas ruach, and that koyach we get from the Torah, and through the tzaddikim there are davak in the Torah, and the way we get that from the tzaddikim is through arichas ruach. But when we breathe in and we take arichas ruach, and we keep in mind that we're getting ruach from the tzaddik. And the way we make sure that we're mamshech ruach from the right place and not from midas reis is through learning halacha, lo gishmaitza libud helchasa, through mavar the toiv from the toiv. The shorish, everything is toiv, but when a person doesn't have a clear clarity in halacha, then the toiv isn't mavur and clear for him. So when you clarify the halacha lemaisa, then you clarify the good of the Torah and the rachayim of the Torah. And the way you zeichet the Torah is through tefillah. The way you have seichel through which to understand Torah and mevar the halacha lemaisa is through tefillah. So let's go on to Torah tests. So Rebbe says that ikar chiyas or makabel from tefillah, like the pasuk says, tefillah lekel chaya, tefillah to Hashem. That's my chiyas. So that's why a person has to daven with all his koiches. Because when you put all your koiches into davening, into the words and letters of davening, then you get koich back, and it gives you koich in everything in your life. That's what the pasuk says. Chadoshim labekordim rabba munasecha. That when you have a starkheit emunah, rabba munasecha, emunah is in your tefillah. The yiyad of emunah is in the targum of yiyad of emunah that says by Moshe Rabbeinu, he held up his hands with emunah. The prishim b'tzloi was spread out and tzloi b'tzlois and tefillah. So this Torah we're going to see is very much connected to Torah Zayin, which we learned before. So the Rebbe says weiter that there are 12 shvatim. Each of these 12 shvatim is keneged one of the 12 mazoles, one of the constellations in Shemayim, and every shevet has its own special nusach of how to daven, which is connected to a specific shar in Shemayim that his tefillah goes through. So, and every shevet with every nusach through its shar is ma'or the koyach of a different mazel of one of the 12 mazalis, and that mazel is what shines into this world and makes things grow. That's what the pasuk says. Dorach koicha miYaakov v'kam shevet miYisrael. That a star comes out from Yaakov and shvatim are able to stand. What v'kam shevet miYisrael and shevet miYisrael stands. So it says kam is to stand is a midah, which is the name for Shema or davening, which means that when a shevet miYisrael, every person in Klal Yisrael, the kafi the nusach that he's shaykh to, then when he davens with his nusach, then he brings out the koicha of the stars, which are part of the mazolis. Because Chazal say that every blade of grass has a star and a malach above it, which is shemakai sevaim le'gedal, which is like hitting it and telling it to grow, which means everything only grows through the koich of our tefillah. Everything that happens in this world is only the koich of our tefillah. So every mazel is somehow connects with something else in this world, and the koyach that a mazel has is only from our tefillah. So, and every mazel is connected to different shevet and different nusach. So every person kafila nusach that he davens in, kafila nusach which is shach to his own shevet, so he's ma'or the koyach of the mazel, which is shaykh to his nusach and his shar and his shevet, and it gives koyach to that part of the world which is connected to him. So the Chazal say koshin mizaynasa adam kiryas yamsuf and koshin zevuga kiryas yamsuf, that a person's parnasa is as difficult as kiryas yamsuf, and a person's shidduch is as difficult as kiryas yamsuf. So it explains that we learn that by Kriyas Yamsuf, the Yamsuf split not one time but 12 times. Each Shevet had its own path through the Yamsuf. So, and we know that Klal Yisrael, through their tefillah, we're goyim something called a yichud kudsha b'chush chinte, or a zivug of kudsha b'chush chinte, that the midah of the midas of Hashem are kavyachol are connected through our davening. So, and that means a person through his tefillah, he's zeichet to cause this yichud, this zivug lamala, and each person does it lefi his nusach. Like we said before, every person is shaykh to different shevet. Every shevet, each one of the 12 shvatim has a different nusach, a different shar. So kafi, that person, however much a person is zeicha to be goyim and to bring about a yichud and a zivug and his tefillah in a way which is connected to his nusach of the 12 nuschais. And that's why zivug is a kriyas yamsuf, and that's 12 zivugim according to Sheva kriyas yamsuf. So the difficulty of kriyas yamsuf is the same difficulty of making sure your tefillah is garim the zivug, which is shaykh to your shevet. Also, there's a musig of being mefarnis the b'shtei kavyachol, like it's brought down in Chazal, ve'midei li'akav le'choik. Chayk is lisham bezonis ve'inamid el tefillah, and the Rebbe brings up psukim having to do with this musig. So the same thing when a person is gorim in of shefa lamala kavyachol, which is in of parnasa, then he also gets kafi yishayich, what shevet yishayich to, and a nusach yishayich to, and a if of parnasa. That's what's because kashem is a nice of kiryas yamsuf. So however much you're zeichet to also to bring a zivug kavyachol lamala and parnasa kavyachol lamala, so you're also zeichet yourself to your own shidduch, your own zivug, and your own parnasa. The Rebbe fears us that a person needs a very big schus that he should be zeichet to bring his tefillah to the shar which is shaykh to his shevet. It's not a pashut zach to know how to daven and what's the nusach and shar which is shaykh to your shevet. So that's what the Chazal say. Abba Binyamin would say that Kol Yamai, I was mitzvah on two things. One, al tefilasi sheitei samach l'mitasi, that my davening should be able to be close to my bed, which Pashup Pshat means that he should be able to daven as soon as he gets up in the morning. And Rebbe explained that mita is malashon mate, his staff, the shevet, that he was mitzvah that his tefillah should be shaykh to his shevet. Because the 12 matas b'nei Yisrael, which each one is a different shar, like we said before. So he's mitzvah, and he would himself, he himself davened, that he shouldn't be misrachik, that his tefillah should be samuch to his mata, to his shevet. And also connected to zivug, mita. It's also in your parnasa, mita b'shivi lechem mata lechem. So you see the word mem tes hey is connected to mata, a shevet, to mita, which is connected to zivug, and to mata lechem, which is connected to parnasa. So and he also brought down that Abu Binyamin was mitzvah that besides that the tefillah should be samach l'mitasa, he also davened that his shevet should be zeicha to two shachanais, which means v'amitasa shetei nesuna ben tzafa nedorim. So Chazal say haretz lahachkim. To go to that, depending the direction you face, that's if you're zeichet to the ashiras, or to parnasa, to chachma, that he wanted his mate to be connected to both tzafan and darim. His tefillah should be connected to both ways. So it says that Yaakov, who's connected to all, he's the father of all 12 shvatim. He's koilel all 12 shvatim. So that's why it says Vayesav Yaakov Raglav Lamita, who was able to bring his Raglav is Eim Tefillah, like Pasuk says to the Yalech, he was able to bring it to the Mita, which means a Mata. He was able to bring every Shevet and every Tefillah to the mateh, to the shar, and to the nusach which it's shaykh to. And that's why he's able to give over a chilka ilm to Yosef, like the pasuk says, Nati lecha shchem echad alachecha. And why dafka shchem? Because shchem is Rosh Hashanah shafel kochav malach, the three parts of the world, the shafel, the olam hashafel that we're in, the kochavim, the bavas, the malachim. Through that, he was able, through the koyach tefillah, to be mamshech everything. And Mitzvah shall be mamshech tomorrow, and Daf Yud Beis.